why do we always do this to Winnipeg? It's we forget they're in the league because they're in Winnipeg. Like, they don't get any national TV love. We never see this team play. And then when the standings get done at the end of the season, you go, oh my gosh, they're kind of pretty good.
It's funny you should ask who you should root for in the playoffs, because that is exactly what we are going to discuss right now with the great Steve Peters. You know him from his appearances across all city things. You also know him from his time with the Arizona Coyotes. But I know him right now from both Friendship and Inside the Coaches Room, the best YouTube channel out there. Subscribe, folks.
Yeah, all 8 of you that are watching. It is the best. I think
you,
ratings matter on that, but we'll get into that another time. Who are we rooting for? I don't know who we're rooting for. It literally is too chaotic.
There is a clarification that was made in the chat. They said it needs to be a WC team. They meant Western Conference, not what chaos. So that clears that up. I gotta say, Petey, you're looking awfully tan these days.
Hey, buddy, it was 100 degrees yesterday. 100 degrees again here in the desert. Again today. Summer is upon us, and it's very toasty warm here in Arizona.
Our coffee machine is
absolutely
just dumping water,
spouting water everywhere. I have no idea what's going on.
Never seen anything like this.
Sean.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's been unplugged. A bunch of stuff is flooded.
This episode is going off the rails.
That Sean, you can move near it. Damn,
it's electrical stuff on the floor, isn't there? I mean, I'm not familiar.
We do have outlets on the floor. So Sean, tend to that. Take your time. Be good. Appreciate you. Love you. Okay. There, PD, are 4 teams with odds of winning the Stanley Cup, according to Vegas. And we don't do huge Vegas gambling numbers. So I'll just say there's 4 teams with odds better than plus 1,000 to win the Stanley Cup. In order by favorite, the Florida Panthers, the Dallas Stars, the Colorado Avalanche, and the Edmonton Oilers. I'm sure at some point we will discuss the Oilers, but we can go light on them. Who is that team for you that you would say, yeah, I can really see it?
It's funny because the one team you mentioned right before we went on the air is the Washington Capitals, not included. Potentially President's Trophy winner. We're not talking about them. And the Vegas Golden Knights. So one of the top teams in the East and top teams in the West, and we're not talking about them to win the Cup. I'm sure we will later. Of those 3 teams, it's Colorado Avalanche. For what is happening right now, and I think that's important that you take what's happening right now. The Dallas Stars, when you look at what's happening with Rantanen, like all the drama and chaos around with Rantanen, and he's got 8 points. 5 points in 8 games. 5 points in 8 games, and all I keep hearing is, "Oh, well, he's got to get used to it. He's got to get used to Dallas. Oh, it's the weather. It's the team. But he's Mikko Rantanen, buddy. You don't take Brock Nelson's almost a point a game player. Like Brock Nelson, we like him, but Mikko Rantanen's got to do better for the Dallas Stars right now. He's the guy that they thought would give him the big boost and will be great. They're 6-2-2. Since the trade deadline, they're 4-2-2. Like, that's not very good. Like, they're really struggling. The Dallas Stars are not the Dallas Stars we thought they were going to be. Sagan will definitely give him a boost, but it's not the end of the year. Heiskanen's going to miss the first round, so I don't think they can defend as well. It's the Colorado Avalanche. Yeah, and we talked about. Yeah, I'm sorry, I get so excited when I talk hockey.
No, I mean, this segment is born out of, for like the last week or so, I've been like, we just need it on record. We need to have you should think the Colorado Avalanche are going to win the Cup conversation. And again, I'm curbing it and doing the like teams I root for excluded, because if someone, what about the Oilers? They're like, of course I believe in the Oilers. Of course I think that what they're doing without McDavid and Draisaitl and everything shows that they can be absolute dogs in the playoffs. And they showed last year that they're capable of doing it all. But other teams, Colorado Avalanche. I love the Avalanche. I love the way they're playing. I love the way they're built right now. You could have questions on defense, but they are so strong down the middle. And that's even with, and I saw Frank echo something that Pete said when they made the Brock Nelson trade, which is, we are seeing the Martin Erat for Philip Forsberg deal in real time. If they go on and they win the Cup with Brock Nelson, don't matter. Cares. And I think that I really think they can. You mentioned the Stars and Heiskanen being out in the first round. That's so huge for Colorado, because a team that I feel can win the Cup is a team that can absolutely be eliminated in the first round by Dallas, because I'm always afraid of Dallas. However, I think they get through that. I'm a believer in the Colorado Avalanche big time.
I wanted to ask, you mentioned the Washington Capitals not included in there. Also not included in there is the Winnipeg Jets. So the 2 best and most consistent teams in the standings all year long, not included in the top 4 Cup favorites. What does that say about those two teams?
Well, I think for Washington, it was almost too new. Like, this is a team that struggled to get into the playoffs a year ago, and you see what they're doing right now is they're getting scoring throughout their lineup. You got Protas, McMichael, Wilson. You got 5 guys with 20+ goals for the Washington Capitals, and I don't know if there's confidence in what they can do in the playoffs. Their goaltending tandem has been absolutely elite all season. Do they have the chops to get them through in this first round? The reality is they're playing some really good hockey right now. Like, the Washington Capitals should be getting a lot more love right now than they are in the Eastern Conference. And I think what we're going to see over the next 8 games, they're going to continue to win. One of the problems with Washington, and this sounds counterintuitive, but they're trying to get Ovechkin the record. And you watch the Washington Capitals when Alexander Ovechkin is on the ice, and everybody, and I mean every player on the ice, is looking for number 8. There's nobody trying to get pucks to the net. There's nobody trying to make any other play than get the puck to Ovechkin. Now, I get it. We're all excited about the race, but you got to win the games. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see as he gets closer, because right now it's projected he's going to do it in the last game of the year. Like, he cooled off. So are they going to get focused on that? Or are they going to focus on winning the President's Trophy? Or are they going to be focused on the playoffs? I'm not sure. And Winnipeg, why do we always do this to Winnipeg? We forget they're in the league because they're in Winnipeg. Like, they don't get any national TV love. We never see this team play. And then when the standings get done at the end of the season, you go, oh my gosh, they're kind of pretty good. Again, they have balanced scoring. I just don't know if they've got the star power, the guys you can throw over the ice. I know they got guys that are putting up numbers, and I know Kyle Connor can put up numbers. Shifley could put up numbers, but Jack Eichel's playing elite. Nathan McKinnon's playing elite. But Draisaitl and McDavid are elite. Like, you've got those elite talents that really can push the pace and pull the rope. I'm not sure Winnipeg's got that guy. Their guy's in the back of the net, and that's Hellebuck. He's going to have to be the best player for the Jets to get them over.
Do you see him doing that? Because I go back and forth, and I've wanted to discuss this on the show. Like, who do you think makes a deeper run, or who do you have more confidence in from the 2 top teams in each conference to win the cup? And I change my answer every fucking 5 minutes.
I don't.
Right now it's Washington.
It's Washington for me, and it's more because like they have more depth, and Winnipeg relies on like too few guys to score for them. Like, they get a lot of goals from those guys, but when it comes to playoff hockey and you're getting matched up against best on best, like in terms of the best teams running out their shutdown guys, you're going to have to diversify your lineup over the course of a deep run. I feel like Washington has a better chance of doing that. But on the other end, like, to your point, if you're considering goaltending,
exactly,
like that carries Winnipeg further.
And not just that their goaltender is better than Washington's, because their goaltender is better than everybody's goaltender, but Logan Thompson is on my list of guys who could be bad in the playoffs. And a lot of players that we love are on that list as well. But if we end up talking about the Capitals, why'd they miss the play, or why did they get eliminated? I don't think it's going to be they weren't ready for the moment in this place in their development and where they're building, because as we talked about with Butchie, they've got guys who have been there before. Ovechkin, they got Tom Wilson, like John Carlson, people who have been there. I think that what we could talk about with them if they miss the playoffs is I keep saying miss the playoffs, they get eliminated from the playoffs, is like their goaltending wasn't very good, even though Logan Thompson's been awesome this season.
Yeah, and you look at their matchups too. They're most likely going to play that last wild card, and who is that going to be? It's Montreal, New York. I don't know, but I think that's a matchup that's favorable to Washington. And then even in the second round, it's Carolina and New Jersey in the second round. Again, it's not. They're good teams, but I still think Washington has the easier path to the Western Finals. The Atlantic is a gauntlet. Like, I don't care. You've got to win the Atlantic. You have to win the Atlantic. So everybody's fighting. We're within 2 points. You've got to win. Like, Florida could end up going on the road to Tampa in the first round. And we talk about Florida winning the cup. Marchand might not touch the ice for another couple weeks, but we know Kachuk's not playing until playoffs start. Ekblad's suspended until playoffs start. And Kulikov maybe at the end of the season. They're never going to play together. They won't play together till game 3 of the first round of the playoffs. That's a tough task. Like, you look at what Bobrovsky's going to have to carry that team, and I know they've got really good players on their Stanley Cup champion, but you're going to throw a team together on the third game of the playoffs that's never played together before and expect instant chemistry. Brad Marchand, Matthew Tkachuk, they're going to be great. Really?
That's part of the thing.
Yeah, really is my answer though. Like they're going to be fucking awesome, brother.
No, but like that's the part about Florida that confuses me a little bit. Like, yeah, They have the pedigree. They have all the things that you look for, but there's so much uncertainty attached to the Panthers right now. You don't know what Tkachuk's going to be like. You don't know what Marchand's going to be like. You don't know what the chemistry is going to be like once you get all of them together. Like, you also like, you don't know what Bobrovsky's going to be, because in years past, he's been very, very roller coastery. So I feel like maybe it's just like the market placing faith in the Panthers based off of the past 2 postseasons, but I'm surprised that they're in that top 4.
I am too, because it shapes up. If Toronto plays Ottawa in the first round, that first round is going to be phenomenal, because then it's Tampa and Florida. I like the way Tampa Bay's playing right now, and Vasilevsky's back on track. Kucherov's on fire. Their power play is elite. Gensel's been phenomenal, top 2 power play scorer in the league. We're talking about Florida winning the Cup. They might not make it through the first round. So I think that this is going to be an incredible first round matchups there. And then in the West, Dallas and Colorado facing off to start it off. 2 teams that could win the Stanley Cup have to face off in the first week. It's horrific that matchup's right away. And again, we go back to Colorado and what they have done of late. You put up the numbers, and I like numbers. Since their last 13 games, they got 4+ goals 10 times. They've given up 2 or less in 9 of those 13. They are smoking teams. The offense is there. The defense of their goaltenders. Blackwood, 20 wins in 30 starts, 2.2 GA, and a 917 since he's been in Colorado, and Wedgwood's been better. 10-14, 202, and 918. Their goaltending is the best it's ever been in Colorado when they've been competitive. They had Kemper. I mean, I like Kemper. He's playing great in LA, but these 2 guys are playing better as a tandem. Their goaltending is great. I know they need to get Manson back. Hopefully they can on the back end, but this is a team built from front to back. They're faster with Natchez than they were. Sorry, Mikko Rantanen. They're faster with Natchez. They're better on the power play, and this team can blow teams out. I don't know. To me, it's Colorado and Vegas in the Western Finals. Sorry, Edmonton. I just don't know if you're going to get over this year. I think it's Colorado and Vegas in the Western Finals, and I think it's Western. I think it's Tampa Bay and Washington in the East.
Tampa Bay and Washington is interesting because we talked about goaltending a bit in this conversation. How many teams are there in the playoffs this season where you're like, I know for sure the goaltender is going to be really good?
Yeah.
I have 2 people on that list right now.
I mean, I think the answer should always be 0.
And Hellebuck.
Right. Goaltending is just so unpredictable.
You know what? Maybe it is 0 because, Pete, to your point, one of the people on my list, Connor Hellebuck, what was he in the postseason last year? We had to, game after game, we were like, do we say it yet? Do we say it yet? Right. Do we say it yet? Like, he's not playing well. And Vasilevsky, as you said, he's back on track, but you never know. A lot of guys, though, who can be that next like Matt Murray or Stu Skinner type where it's like, oh, you know what? You can win with anybody.
You know who I'm throwing in there?
Who?
Joe Woll.
As a guy who could be really good?
Yes.
But definitely not on the list of I know what I got.
About it. Yeah.
Certainty is not for the NHL playoffs, though.
And the best goalie right now in the NHL over the last 10 games is Aiden Hill. He's 8-1-1. He's got a 1.79 and his save percentage of .935 and 2 shutouts. Like, he's been phenomenal. But again, we're not talking about him. But could he lay an egg? Yeah. Like, we've seen Aiden Hill go up and down in his career. We saw him win a Stanley Cup, but he didn't even start that playoff. And so I do think when you look at the best goalies in the league, can Ottinger struggle? Yeah. We've seen it in the Western Conference Finals twice. And we've seen Hellebuck struggle. You know, the Vasilevsky and Bobrovsky are the 2 that you go, okay, yeah, these guys, we can count on them. They're going to be great. We talk about the Colorado goaltenders. Blackwood hasn't done it. I don't know. Like, game 1 of the playoffs, is he always tighten up and he puckers up a little bit and goes, uh-oh, this is for real and we're playing the Dallas Stars? I don't know. And I think that there are going to be a lot of questions answered in that. Washington's been going back and forth forever. Boston did that. And that didn't work out so well when they got to the playoffs because you got to pick one, or do you? Boston thought you did, and it didn't work. So I don't know if Washington's going to be able to figure out what to do with their goalies either. Goaltenders can make the difference. You guys know that. I mean, we could talk all we want about how great Draisaitl and McDavid are, but unless Skinner is good, they're not going to win. So goaltenders can skew this whole thing. And you're right. He could win the cup, but he also might be sitting down by game 3. And Solars takes over. Like, it is that kind of a season where it's so chaotic that you can't predict these scenes that you go, oh, that team's, they're rolling. They're going to go. We haven't talked about Carolina yet. I mean, there's so many teams.
I'm glad you say that because my next question was going to be, like, there's always an element of unpredictability when you head into the postseason and you see the bracket, and that's kind of what makes the whole thing great. But does it feel like this year, there is more parity and uncertainty and just like could fucking go anywhere than years past. Because we're talking about this whole thing started with the top 4 best odds to win the Stanley Cup. And the 2 best teams in the league are not in that top 4. I think that speaks to just like nobody fucking knows or has any certainty when it comes to this year's playoff bracket,
especially in the Eastern Conference.
Right.
But I would say even without it being yelling at us from the Eastern Conference, I think it'd be wise to bring up that point if the East were mirroring the West right now. Because, like I said, I love the Avalanche. I can't tell you that they're getting out of the first round. Like, you can love the Jets. Are they not going to have a repeat of what they did last year? You can love the Oilers. As you said, Petey, what if Stu hits a wall like he did in the second round last year and there isn't the correction? There's 2, or what if these injuries maintain? What if Rantanen never really becomes Rantanen? There's so many what ifs, and they're not eye-rolly what ifs. They are very, very plausible what ifs.
Yeah, and look at you, Winnipeg. Winnipeg could end up playing St. Louis in the first round and get the Binnington-Hellebuck matchup that we've been all waiting for from the Four Nations. Man, St. Louis.
Who's been waiting for that?
That's a good hockey
Nobody's
team.
been waiting for that.
I know, but I just had to throw it out there. And maybe they'll fight.
He doesn't like
ice.
anything that involves Binnington matchup.
I don't either,
exactly.
but if Binnington plays Hellebuck and it matters for the play, St. Louis can beat Winnipeg in 5. Like St. Louis is playing that good. They can play strong. They've got a lot of skill. They can score goals. And Binnington, like him or not, dude can play. So we talk about Winnipeg winning the West. They might not make it out of the first round, and they might only get 1 or 2 wins if they play St. Louis. I still think Minnesota is going to fall because their injuries are hurting them enough, and I still think St. Louis is going to end up playing Vegas, and I like Vegas in that matchup. But St. Louis plays Winnipeg. It's like you said, there's nobody you go, okay, I'm really confident in their first round. I'm really confident. You know, in the East, I think Washington, because they're going to play that team that's just going to fight to get in. Washington, Montreal, I like Washington. Washington, New York, I like Washington. You know, Boston gets it. Boston's not getting in, buddy. So they're not going to play Washington. But that first round matchup, Washington might be the only first round matchup that I go, okay, the LA Edmonton. Here we go again. And so I think this is harder than ever to look at this 16 teams and go, okay, we got a clear winner, or we got 2 teams clearly going to be in the Western Finals or the Eastern Finals. I don't think that's the case this year. I think there's so much parity, and there's so many competitive teams, and there's so many teams fighting to get in the playoffs this late in the season that you're still talking about matchups. A year ago, we were talking about, okay, this is set. We're done with 10 games to go. So this is a real testament to the NHL and what they've done with their parity.
Yeah, and the parity last year was bad. Like most of the playoff picture was set. The part that wasn't set was just like, well, one of these teams just fucking stop being an asshole and secure a playoff spot.
And decide which one of them is going to get devoured. We're talking
who can lose the most. Yeah.
Yeah.
The great Steve Peters, he's got breakdowns of the Ovechkin goals, also controversial stuff that you might wonder about video-wise, like Rempe's treatment from officials. He's got great conversations on there. Inside the Coach's Room, make sure you are subscribed. We will get you out on this. Tell us about Jacob Chychrun.
Yeah.
You work for them.
First, yeah, you know what? Chychrun's a really good defender and a really good player. And I think you look at that contract and you go, oh my goodness, like really, are we sure? We were talking about this kind of money when he was back in Arizona. The offensive side of his game is there. There is no question. He skates phenomenally well. He can shoot. His shots, one-timer is great. His wrist shot is great. He's got great offensive vision. He can walk the blue line. All of the things you want from an offensive player. He just couldn't play from the red line in. He couldn't read rushes. He didn't know where to play in defensive zone coverage. He was poor. Like he was really bad. And it was always a question, gosh, is the good outweigh the bad? And now you're looking at him as a plus 24 for the Washington Capitals. He's a guy that, dude, he's ripped, by the way. And I don't know if we're going to talk about the guy with a shirt off. If I look like him, I would never, ever, ever, ever wear a shirt. Like it's sick. But he's stronger. He can pin guys against the wall. He can turn pucks over below the goal line. He's got good stick on the rush reads, and he's improved. Now, is he still your best defender in the National Hockey League? No. Like he's not. He's not going to be that guy that go, hey, we're protecting a lead. Let's make sure he's out on the 2-on-1. It's not him. But his defensive game has improved so much that, yeah, you can build around him. His offense isn't going away. The one thing about him, though, is how he competes and how he prepares. I've never seen a player and I'm sincere with this, never seen a player worry about everything in his preparation, from every bite of food that he puts in his body. He's kind of like Tom Brady in that. When he left Arizona, he started eating raw livers and raw beef hearts, like raw, like not cooked. Like he'd have to go to special butchers because he wanted that really lean, healthy protein. And he's a little goofy. And a goofy guy can really help you if it's for the right reasons. And it is. He wants to compete and he wants to win. I want him on my team. I want Jacob Chychrun on my team. I think he's going to be an asset there for a very long time. Now, does it disrupt some feathers in the room because he's signed longer than a lot of guys and he makes more money than everybody now except Ovechkin? Yeah, I mean, that always happens in a room. You're going to have that little bit, hey, wait a minute. He just got here. Tom Wilson, I'm here. Like, well, wait. So I do think there's going to be some of that, but I would lock Chychrun up absolutely for as long as you can.
As long as he plays well, those questions kind of disappear or at least quieted. The only time those questions come up is when somebody's playing like an asshole and they're like, he's making fucking 9 sheets a year. Sick.
Yeah. Carlson?
Oh, so I was gonna do the. We were talking about we could do a lot of time on Carlson, John Carlson, good Carlson. You and I
the good Carlson. We like the good Carlson.
Yeah, bad you and I talk about bad Carlson from time to time.
Kyle Dubas signed that deal, by the way.
Yes.
Just checking. One playoff win for Kyle Dubas, by the way, if you're counting. He's got one.
PD, you know that we're going to Edmonton after this. We're on our way to
Edmonton.
Edmonton.
How does that happen? It's not even the playoffs. How are you guys doing that?
Well, we're staking it out for the
playoffs. Yeah,
Pete's scouting
hotels. Free hat.
We're pushing Jeff Skinner across the finish line.
Well, don't miss Sherlock Holmes and the Underground. The Underground. Did DJ? Did you make it to the Underground last time?
No, I'm a pub 1905 man myself.
Oh, I see a little bit bougier, but get away, get away, get Sherlock's in the Underground, and I'm excited for you guys. Weather's great, we love it on the river. A great town. I'm excited. Maybe we'll see you there in the playoffs again. Who knows?
Yes, PD, yeah, brother. You're the greatest. We'll follow you in the playoffs just so we could be in the same place. You are the best at what you do, my friend.
Well, let's talk a lot in the playoffs, and I think that's where this gets really exciting is when we can look at the video and go, okay, Colorado's playing Dallas. What's that going to look like? So I'm really excited to see these matchups and really get to the film and start breaking this stuff down.
We all silly like the mayor.